Elias game plan.
I have Gonzaga beating UCLA.
Gonzaga finally breaks
Tennessee and Kentucky in the finals.
And we've got three gentlemen from the Elias Sports Bureau joining us: Rob Tracy, Kevin Hines, and Frank Labombarda. There we go. I got it on the first drive, Frank.
Love it.
Do I get street cred for that?
Right off the bat.
Hopefully I do. All right. A lot we're going to throw at you today on this video. And so at first, we're going to go big picture here. We're going to talk about the Elite Eight. We're going to break it down to the Final Four. Who do we expect to win the big dance as well? And then we're going to go into the Thursday and Friday games. Everybody wants to know the upsets, right? That's why it's called March Madness. Is there a Cinderella story out there? And so we'll break down a few games on Thursday and Friday that potentially could be some upsets. So, gentlemen, let's kick it off. Let's talk about Elite Eight, Final Four, and let's start in the West region. And Kevin, why don't you lead us off? Who are you looking at here, Elite Eight, Final Four?
Well, I have in coming out of the West, no surprise, I have Gonzaga over Texas Tech. Gonzaga is really the class, the favorite of this entire tournament. They've only lost 3 games all season, and all the teams that they've lost to are in this tournament. So they really haven't lost to a poor team at all this season. And they've also made the title game 2 of the last 4 tournaments. So I don't see them getting upset along the road to the Final Four.
I mean, I unfortunately agree with Kevin Hines. I got Gonzaga and Texas Tech coming in. I mean, what can you say about Gonzaga? I mean, best team in the country. Early in the season, they had a little adversity. They lost a couple of games, and then the whole issue with Mark Few. But I think that was a good kick in the butt for them, right? It's like, okay, hey, look, maybe we're not great. We actually have to play, right? We're supposed to win. Now we have to play. So I think that's going to help them this year. Not to mention that the WCC was a lot more competitive, I think, than probably it's ever been. I mean, you got a couple more teams in there. San Francisco obviously is in the tournament, and they're supposed to make some noise. So I think they're better prepared this year than they have been in years past. So I think finally, they're going to do some more damage than they usually do. As for Texas Tech, they got a good D. They had a good showing in the Big 12. I mean, they didn't win it, but they had a pretty good showing. I wish they were coming into this tournament a little bit better. I'm a proponent of, teams playing well coming into the tournament. But I think when it comes down to it, I think their defense and they're very good perimeter defense. So I think that'll help them, especially in close games. When you get down the stretch, they can make big stops. And I think Gonzaga is going to, and of course, be in the Final Four.
Well, I can't disagree with Gonzaga for all the reasons you guys said, but I do disagree with Texas Tech. Like you said, they're not playing well.
That's just surprise.
I think Duke, a little emotional with Coach K leaving the last few games. It wasn't, they weren't up to par. I think they set that right, and they meet Gonzaga in the Elite Eight, but I don't think they have the weapons. I mean, it'll be a Banchero Holmgren matchup, but I definitely see Gonzaga going on.
So, Rob, you see Duke making it?
I see Duke over Texas.
I don't know. They've been struggling, so I don't know.
Like I said, though, I think that's the whole emotional Coach K stuff.
And what I mean, they couldn't figure it out in the ACC final either. I mean,
they might be trying too hard.
I think they're trying too hard, and I think
don't spoil my Virginia Tech pick for later.
No, we don't want to do that. Let's not spoil anything wrong.
Speaking of which.
So really quick, before we do move on to the East, so just to confirm, all three of you consensus, right? Zags coming out. I mean, listen, they're the number one. They're the number one overall seed. So no surprise there. Okay, Rob, lead us off for the East.
All right, and I think the East is by far the weakest region, and I think there's 6 teams that could actually make the Elite Eight. The defending champ has not made the Elite Eight the next year since Florida in 2006. So I don't see Baylor getting there. I don't see St. Mary's either. And so I'm going to by default, I got to put UCLA there.
I
And
like
another,
UCLA.
right.
You're like you're struggling to say UCLA.
It is because
man.
this is so. I think anybody can win these games. On the other side, any team like for the key Virginia Tech Purdue game, whoever wins that game, I think beats whoever wins Kentucky Murray State. And right now, I have Virginia Tech going as
Wow.
Whoa! Whoa!
but,
How about
so
that, huh?
but I don't think I think that's where the run ends. I don't think they make it into the Final Four, and I think UCLA is the call there.
Wow. Okay.
Kevin?
Rob, I actually have UCLA in the Elite Eight as well against Kentucky.
Okay.
So we do agree on UCLA there. But I'm going with Kentucky over UCLA to get to the Final Four. I think they're a strong team with Oscar Tshiebwe leading the nation in rebounding, 15.1 rebounds per game. I think he's going to help carry them. They've only lost to one 25 top team all year. And the only team other than that that has beaten them was Notre Dame. And so I just feel like they're going to go all the way to the Final Four.
I have UCLA too. Again,
West Coast bias for a bunch of East Coast guys.
But I got to say, I mean, I think this UCLA team is a better version than last year's team.
Right.
And and they were. I mean, look what they did last year. So I don't see how that's different. They got another year under their belt. They feel, I'm sure it's going to be an easier transition for them this year. So I think, I had no doubt UCLA. I was the first one right off my bat.
Frank, who do you have them beating the Elite Eight to get to the Final Four?
I have Purdue. I think Purdue's a well-balanced team, and they got 4 double-digit scorers. I don't think they don't rely on one guy. So I think I always like that in the tournament. One guy gets cold, you have somebody else.
Interesting. So you guys, Virginia Tech, Kentucky, and Purdue making it to the Elite Eight, and then
UCLA.
And then UCLA, but Kevin does like Kentucky. Very, very interesting. All right, let's go to the South. Frank, you kick us off.
South, Tennessee. I think they responded well. I think they're rolling of late. The 7 straight wins. The losses in the new year. They lost at LSU, at Kentucky, at Arkansas. I mean, these are all not easy places to win. They're all good teams. The only one loss they lost at Texas by a point. I could give that to them. Road is always tough, and they beat a hot Kentucky team in the SEC. So I think I like them coming out of it, and they're going to play Arizona. Arizona has the best scoring margin among Power 6, and I know, again, I usually don't like Pac-12 teams, but they've just been playing. I mean, Pac-12 has been really good lately. So I'm going to go with Arizona, but I think Tennessee gets to the Final Four.
Whoa. Okay.
Wow.
Frank, I swear I didn't look at what your picks were.
I'm telling you, Anita, this happens all the time. They always copy me and they always lose. So they want to keep copying me. Go right ahead. It's fine by me.
No,
Rob,
I did this independent of
you. As long
you.
as you don't blame me, I'm fine with it.
Rob, what do you have?
I don't have Arizona. Arizona's way too young. It's probably the youngest team in the entire tournament. I just think that there's too many veteran teams in the South. I think Villanova is being overlooked by literally everybody. This is where they were when they won their titles before. Tennessee is good, but I think Villanova, that'll be a matchup. I think Villanova wins that game.
Hey, Rob, you know me. Nobody's a bigger Big East guy than me.
And I'm not. I can't stand the Big East, but I think people are just overlooking Villanova.
I don't know what happened there. Something in the water.
I think they'll play Houston if Houston gets past UAB in the Elite Eight.
So let me ask you, Frank. What is it about Villanova as to why you're rolling with Tennessee?
I don't know. I mean, they eked out of the Big East. I mean, they barely got the tournament. They barely got out of that. They just haven't been dominating. The old Villanova teams I think were a lot better during the season.
Those two title teams didn't dominate. They just got by. They just got by, just like this team.
They very easily could have lost any one of those Big East tournament games.
Say that about every time they win.
They almost lost to St. John. I mean, and you always bash St. John, so there you go.
All right, Kevin.
Okay, well, like Frank, I have Tennessee over Arizona in the to get to the Final Four. I I just think Tennessee right now is on a roll, and I like what I'm seeing from them. They've beaten Kentucky twice in the last month. They've won the SEC championship, and they're just peaking at the right time. So I'm looking for them to overtake Arizona. I know Arizona's had a great year, but not all the number one seeds can always make it. So this is my spot where I'm looking for a lower seed, a 2 or a 3 to knock off the number one here, and so I'm going with Tennessee.
All right, kick us off in the Midwest as well, Kev.
Okay, in the Midwest, I've got Kansas over Auburn. Kansas, the top seed there. I like their top 2 players, Ochi Abaji and Christian Braun. They're 2 NBA prospects. I think they're going to take them to the Final Four. And I think that I don't really see Kansas having that hard a time in that region. I know, they might be facing Auburn if Auburn wins a few games, but Auburn's struggled down the stretch. They've lost 4 games. The trendy pick has been Iowa, so maybe Iowa could give them trouble, but I just see Kansas really making it pretty easy to the Final Four.
And again, I agree with Kansas. I think that's a no-brainer. That's the second no-brainer behind Gonzaga.
Right.
They got 12 quad 1 wins. They motored through the Big 12. I mean, they're a really good team. That's the only team I could see giving Gonzaga trouble this year. And you guys are going to love my second pick. My other Elite Eight from there, USC.
Yeah.
Really?
Don't tell me you picked USC. I'm telling you, the Pac-12, and again, I'm not a Pac-12 guy, but the first 3 over the last 3 years, the first 3 rounds, it's 22-9.
Right.
I mean, they're really doing well. It's the best of any of the Power 6. They're really representing well, and I don't know what it is.
Out of bids every year. Right.
Maybe it's the 3-hour time difference. I don't know what it is, but there's something going on there with the Pac-12 lately, and so I think
But here's
reason other than I don't know. I don't have a reason, but I say USC.
So here's the thing: is if they get past Miami, then yeah, you know what? I think they can make some noise. I think that first game against Miami is going to be their biggest challenge. You agree or disagree?
I agree. I mean, I think for a lot of these teams, it's that first game, right? Because you've been sitting for a while, and you got to get the juices flowing again. And sometimes if you don't start right, you could find yourself in trouble late, right? Especially when you're a high seed, you give these bottom seed teams something to play for second half, and anything can happen at that point, right? You get a little juice in your legs, and anything can happen. So I feel that way about all these games, right? It's first game is always the toughest. I think that's the one you always got to watch out for.
Rob, who do you have?
Well, Kansas, just like these 2 guys. So, but for different reasons. I think Remy Martin coming back is the key to that team. That makes them that much better. Like Kevin said, there's that section of the region is like not soft, but they're not losing any of those teams to get to that, at least to the Elite Eight. But on the other side, the team with the easiest, first 2 games is easily Wisconsin. They barely have to travel. And so I don't see them losing the first 2 games. So then they play, winner of USC Auburn. I think Wisconsin nice and rested, and they go in and beat whoever they play in that game. But overall, between Kansas and Wisconsin, I don't think Wisconsin has the bodies to play with Kansas. So Kansas to the Final Four.
I think Wisconsin loses to Colgate.
Thank you.
Wow. Okay.
Colgate's one of the best 3-point shooting teams in the country.
And Johnny Davis has been struggling lately. I mean, he's
they're playing. That would be bigger than a 16 beating a 1 because they're playing in Wisconsin.
Wow. Okay. All right. So we know everybody's Elite Eight. We know everybody's Final Four. It's time to pick your winner. So Rob, let's start with you. Who do you have winning the big dance?
I have Gonzaga beating UCLA, and I've been going back and forth over. I love Kansas over Villanova. at this point. So Kansas Gonzaga final, and I think it'll be down to the wire, but Gonzaga will win the title.
All right. So I
Kevin?
definitely, I think I'm alone on this one. I am not going with the number
Don't be
one
a
seeds.
person.
I'm gonna buck the trend here, and I'm gonna go with Tennessee and Kentucky in the finals. An all
Wow.
SEC final, a rematch of the SEC semifinals, and I am gonna go with Tennessee. They've been the
Wow.
hot team. I'm going with the hot team. They are 25-1 to win the NCAA championship. So I already put my bet down in Tennessee.
Oh
So
boy.
let's go Vols.
All right. So how much you going to lose? What was that? How much did you spend?
Not much.
Hey, look, believe me, I like Tennessee. I really do. I like Tennessee, but I don't think they, they go far, but I don't think they go that far. I mean, I hate to do it. I hate to say Gonzaga, Kansas, because that seems like a cop out. Usually my second bracket is some wacky thing like Tennessee. What would you say? Tennessee and somebody else.
Right.
That's usually my second bracket. But I just think Gonzaga finally breaks. I mean,
Right.
they've been knocking at the door. I think this is it, right? It's a strange NCAA year. I think this is the year they finally do it.
It's really interesting. Probably for the past 2 weeks, in a number of analysts that I've spoken to, they've talked about the parity and how they feel that more so than any year in the past decade, that this is the year that maybe there's a good 7 to 10 teams that could potentially win it.
Yeah.
But yet here we are picking the overall number one seed.
Well, I
in the
mean,
tournament.
I think you're going to see some strange things this year with some teams you don't expect. But at the end of the day, I mean, Gonzaga is just that good, and the parity probably helps them, right? I don't think. I mean, other than maybe Kansas, I don't think they've run into a team that can challenge them. That's
Right.
how I feel.
Kevin, I think this is where we say hasta la vista. So
It's been fun.
Thank you for your input and thank you for your Elias nuggets, and we really do appreciate it.